the concept of de-escalation. I don't think either of our leadership, and I'm not gonna point fingers. I'm not gonna. There's definitely one side's more powerful. One side can cause more damage. The accusation of the other side is that the other side can't cause as much damage, but their intention is to harm civilians, while our intention is to harm only militants. Right? These are like the competing narratives. I'm not going to play the blame game tonight. I'm holding all people in power responsible. Okay, we don't have leadership that seems to understand the concept of de-escalation. De-escalation should be a major part of any leadership's approach to conflict. For example, it seems like there was stone throwing, some amount of rioting on Temple Mount. That's obviously wrong. But for Israel to then go in and storm Temple Mount with gas and stun grenades is so obviously not the right thing to do. The harm and escalation that storming Al-Aqsa is going to cause is obviously far worse than what would be caused had no storming taken place. Our policy in that sense is extremely nonsensical. Hamas, that really did contribute to the escalation. Hamas today decided to shoot rockets. That's a blatant escalation, right? That's shooting rockets on civilian populations. Thankfully, Israel has the Iron Dome, and we can shoot down most of the rockets that are aimed towards civilian populations, but some do get through, and it doesn't matter. The rockets are traumatizing because if you're in a populated area and a siren goes off, you need to run to a bunker. This causes trauma to most people who need to go through this. Now, most Israelis, most people in general, their natural inclination when they're struck by an enemy is to strike back, right? Hamas shoots rockets. Of course, we need to retaliate. That's the natural inclination. That's the go-to. And there's a deep-rooted reason for why that's our natural inclination. It's probably rooted in evolution, right? We very much evolved to do tit for tat with our enemies. If someone's a threat to us, we need to strike them so they can't kill us. Like this is very much a part of our biology at this point. Things like retaliation and vengeance are deep-rooted into our DNA. But I want us and think about it and not be so quick to feel the need to retaliate, because we need to ask ourselves, what do we actually achieve in retaliating? So one of the most unpopular opinions you could take in Israeli society is to condemn Israel's response to rocket fire. People will say, you're crazy. What? We can't just do nothing. Why not? Why can't we do nothing? Has anybody stopped to think what will happen if we do nothing? So the common response is, yeah, if we do nothing, then they'll become emboldened and do it more. Well, we don't know that, but it might be true, but we don't know that. But here's what we do know. When we return fire on Gaza, first of all, we kill civilians. I said 9 children were killed. I'm now seeing the numbers up to 17. These reports are still fairly new. We don't know what the exact number is. It could be more, it could be less, but it's likely to grow over the next few weeks. So children are dead. And let's not take that lightly. Children are dead. These are mothers and fathers that will never see their children again. And why? Because we must retaliate. How can we not? Children are dead. That's not where it ends. An entire population, all Gazans have deep PTSD from these airstrikes. A population that has PTSD and is fearful of you is less likely to be open to any type of peace with you in the foreseeable future, right? So we push Gazans farther away from being to a position where they can accept us as their neighbors. Not only that, rockets, whenever we strike Hamas back, Hamas becomes more popular in Gaza and globally. There's nothing, it seems like there's actually nothing that strengthens Hamas more than Israel attacking them. In many ways, they're like the Hydra. You cut off a head and they come back stronger. When we wreck Gaza, which we do at least once every 4 or 5 years, they get billions of dollars from the international community. Hamas engaging with Israel is actually a good deal. Sure, civilians are killed. Sure, some of their weapons are blown up, but really the claim is that we at least blow up their rocket stockpiles, and we might to an extent. But if you look at the 2014 Gaza war, we dropped over 1,000 bombs on Gaza, and they shot over 100 rockets on Israel on the first day, and 30 days later, they were still able to shoot over 100. So all the damage we caused them, we didn't slow down what they were able to shoot at us. So there's not much evidence that our attacks slow down their rocket fire. There's no evidence that it actually deters them, but there's a lot of evidence. We know for a fact that it kills people, innocent people. We know for a fact it makes them more popular, both domestically and globally. We know that it increases the funds that they get. Our retaliation, which is blindly supported by the majority of Israelis and pro-Israel supporters, seems to be a net negative in so many ways. So many ways. Yet, bringing up the idea of not retaliation is considered radical. Well, when you really think about it, retaliation seems like one of the most radical things you could do. Now, let's talk about what we potentially could do. Actually, let's see comments. I see some people are obviously upset because this is obviously a controversial opinion. Jason Smith says this guy is really naive. Well, that's your opinion. A lot of who else was naive? Herzl. Naive people actually have the ability to change things because they dream big and they believe in things that go against the norm. I don't compare myself to Herzl, but naivety should not be considered something negative. So I take that as a compliment. Thank you. And then Adam goes, this is a good point. But Adar, you don't know the counterfactual. That's true. I acknowledge that. It's impossible to know. There's a lot of factors. That's why I'm speaking about what we do know. We know what our attacks caused them. And it seems like based off what we do know, it's net negative. We haven't really tried anything else. So Adam, you're not wrong, but this does not really weaken the point. Okay. I'm gonna propose something. It's not. I'm just one dude, right? It's something that had we have a nation, we have a nation of brilliant people, we could definitely come up with something more. But what we need to do is create a situation in which Hamas firing rockets on Israel weakens Hamas, not us, and doesn't strengthen them. That's what happens now. They shoot rockets on us, it strengthens them. We've been in constant war with them for 16 years. They're not any weaker than they've been. We should retaliate, and I'm putting out an idea. Feel free to critique it. We could definitely build on this. Like I said, I'm one guy proposing something, but I'm pretty sure there's something here. We retaliate with something less harsh. Let's say we decide to close down the borders for a week after rocket fire. And there's a lot of materials going in, food, cement, industrial materials, a lot of materials going in. We close the border for a week. This is some level of collective punishment. I will acknowledge it, but it's definitely not as bad as bombing people and killing children, for sure. And then we start dropping leaflets over Gaza. Now, these leaflets don't say, leave your home, we're about to bomb your home, which Israel does. And often people who are defending Israel say, oh, but we're so generous. We tell people to leave their homes before we bomb it. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of generous, but we're still bombing their homes. And then obviously the counter saying, yeah, but Hamas is shooting rockets from their homes. I get that. But don't expect the Gazan to think you're good for dropping a leaflet and then bombing their home. Imagine if we drop leaflets starting to talk to the people of Gaza, even call it propaganda of sorts. I'm going off the cuff now, right? This is right on the spot, but dear people of Gaza, I don't know if you know, but your government, Hamas, recently shot rockets at us. It hurts us that we have to do this, but we just closed your border for a week. It pains us that we know this causes you harm. We look for a future where we could live together side by side. Imagine starting to do leaflets like this, nice messages. And I know people are thinking this sounds crazy, okay? Someone, Leica goes, drop food parcels. That's great too, yeah, drop food. Imagine if we could, through methods like this, right? Through methods of engaging with Gazans and doing a less harsh punishment that doesn't cause such severe trauma to them and doesn't kill innocent civilians, start to get their rocket fire to cause Gazans to be upset with Hamas for their actions because it affects them. It's true that our rockets affects them, but when Israel is coming and dropping a bomb, they don't say, oh, Hamas, that's your fault. No, they're blaming the people dropping the bomb. Right? So again, I just can't, this is a really off-the-cuff idea. But what I'm trying to demonstrate is that our lack of creativity and the lack of effort we put into actually have a response that will yield positive results is so low and so shallow that we should come out and speak against it. And we should come together to try to find and propose a better solution to dealing with rocket fire. Because it's true, no sovereign nation would accept rocket fire on them. None. But that doesn't mean retaliation is effective. And it seems to be entirely counterproductive.